All right, so we are working on examples where we're going to write and solve one-step inequalities. And this is going to be a subtraction problem that we're going to look at. So we have Caleb that owns two types of dogs. The difference in the height of his Yorkshire Terrier and his Great Dane is at least 25 inches. Caleb's Yorkshire Terrier has a height of 6 1/4 inches. So we need to write and solve an inequality to determine the possible height of the Great Dane, and then we're going to interpret the solution. So first things first, we know that we're going to be working on a subtraction problem, so I need to see subtraction somewhere in there. But if we just were given this problem, I see some clue words that lets me know that we're talking about subtraction. We see the word difference, and we know that difference means subtraction, right? So we know that it's going to be the difference between the two dogs is going to be at least 25 inches. So what that means is that 25 is going to go on one side of the inequality, and x, whatever that value may be, has to be the difference between the two dogs has to be at least 25 inches, at least, which means that it could also be equal to, right? So we're going to say the size of the Great Dane minus the size of the Yorkshire Terrier, which is 6 1/4 inches. 6 1/4 as a fraction can be written as a decimal by making it 6.25, right? So I'm going to use the decimal equivalent, but it doesn't matter whichever one you want to use. So I'm going to put 6.25. So the difference between those two dogs has to be at least or equal to 25. Okay, so first thing I want to do is try to isolate the variable. In order for me to isolate the variable, I need to figure out what's stopping it from being isolated. Well, I see x, and then I see that we're subtracting 6.25. So in order to undo that, like get rid of that negative 6.25, I need to add 6.25, the inverse operation, to both sides. So this is 6.25. So now what we have is going to be x. Negative 6.25 plus 6.25 becomes 0, so they cancel out. And then I'm going to use my inequality sign, so just bring that down. So x is going to still be greater than or equal to 25 plus 6.25. Well, if I add those two together, 25 plus 6.25, then it has to be 31.25. Okay? So what this is saying is that the Great Dane has to be at least, that means greater than or equal to 31.25 inches in order for them to have the difference of at least 25 inches. Now, to graph that, because we don't know exactly how tall he is, but we know he's at least 31.25 inches tall. So I'm going to put my number line. I'll put 0. 31.25 is going to be on the positive side, so I'll put that here. And we should also, if you're using the fraction form, 31.25 is the same thing as 31 and 1/4. Those are the same. Okay. So I'm going to put this here. I'm going to put my circle here. Okay. And it needs to be a shaded circle because we see that it can also include 31.25, right? And so all the solutions that make this a true statement needs to be to the right because it has to be greater than 31.25 or equal to. So all the answers that make this a true statement is going to be any answers or any numbers that are to the right of 31.25.